Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we have this really beautiful sort of a ribbed textured cardigan. It's really easy to make and all you need is just a weight of 4 yarn and a 4.5mm hook, and in this tutorial I make a size small. You can check out other sizes on my blog crochetwithcarrie.com. And the yarn I used was Drops Paris. This is a 100% cotton and it's a weight of 4. You can use any fibre yarn you like. You can use wool, you can use acrylic, whatever pleases you, you can use. And you will also need a 4.5mm crochet hook. So the main body of the cardigan is worked up in one piece. We start off with the front panel and then we work our way across the back panel, and then we finally finish off with the second front panel. The initial chain will determine the length of your cardigan, so we are going to be working sideways. So for a size small we're going to chain 102. If you want to make your cardigan longer or shorter, just chain an even number of chains. So once you have your 102 chains, we're going to be working into the back bumps. I find this gives it a neater edge, but you can work into the front part of the chain if you like. So into the second chain from the hook, we're going to make a herringbone half double crochet. And to do that, we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into your stitch, pull your yarn through. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook, so you're going to pull that top loop through the middle loop. So now you have 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through your 2 loops, and that's your first herringbone half double crochet completed. So next we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip the next chain, and then we're going to herringbone half double crochet into the next chain. And then you're going to repeat that across. You're going to chain 1, skip the next chain, and then herringbone half double crochet into the next chain. Repeat that all the way across until the end of the row. Now I've just done a smaller swatch just for demonstration purposes, but at the end of row 1 you should have 101 stitches. For row 2 we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now in this row we're going to be working into the back loop. So into that very first stitch and working into the back loop, we're going to make our first herringbone half double crochet. So go ahead, yarn over, insert your hook, pull your yarn through, and then pull that first loop through the middle loop, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. Then chain 1, skip the next stitch, working into the back loop of the next stitch, make a herringbone half double crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way across until the end of the row. For row 3 we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. And in this row we're going to be working into both loops. So now we're going to insert our hook into that very first stitch. pull your yarn through, and then insert your hook into that chain 1 space, pull your yarn through. You have 3 loops on your hook, so now you're going to pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops, and we're going to call that a forked slip stitch. So now you're going to insert your hook into that same space, pull your yarn through, then insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and then pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops, and that's your second forked slip stitch done. And you're going to repeat that. Insert your hook into that same stitch, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and then pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. At the end of the row, we're going to do something slightly different, but first we are going to insert our hook into that same stitch that we last worked, pull your yarn through, and then insert your hook into that very last stitch, pull your yarn through, pull that top loop through those 2 bottom loops. And into that same stitch, we're going to make 1 single crochet. So at the end of every forked slip stitch row, we're going to make a single crochet into the same last stitch. So for row 4, we're just going to repeat that row 3. So chain 1, and then turn your work, insert your hook into that very first stitch, make sure you're working into both loops, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops. Insert your hook into that same stitch, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and then pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. And here we are again at the end of the row. So we're going to insert our hook into that last worked stitch, insert our hook into the last stitch, pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops, and then into that same stitch we're going to make 1 single crochet. For row 5, we're going to be doing our herringbone half double crochet stitches. So I want to show you where you're going to be inserting your hook. So here you can see a V, and then you can see another V. You're going to be inserting your hook. If you just turn your yarn just like this, you're going to be inserting into the back loop just right there. For row 5, chain 1, turn your work, working into the back loops. We are going to place a herringbone half double crochet into that first stitch, chain 1, skip 1, herringbone half double crochet into the next stitch, working into the back loop, and you're going to repeat that all the way across. So from now on, you're going to work rows 2 to 5 until the end of row 29. And that'll be your first front panel completed. Don't fasten off. We're going to work directly then into our back panel. So go ahead, work these rows 2 to 5 until the end of row 29. So once you have your 29 rows completed, you should have ended on one row of the herringbone half double crochet. Don't forget that every herringbone half double crochet row is going to be worked into the back loops only, and every slip stitch row is going to be worked into both loops. So for the next row, we're going to do our herringbone half double crochet row with the chain 1, skip 1. You're going to repeat that all the way across, leaving the last 38 stitches unworked. And then from here, we are going to chain 39. So once you have your 39 stitches, we are going to be working into the back bumps. So working into the second chain from the hook, we're going to insert our hook, pull our yarn through, insert our hook into the next stitch, pull our yarn through, 3 loops on our hook, pull that top loop through the 2 bottom loops. Insert our hook into that same stitch, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and then pull that top loop through the bottom 2 loops. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. So once you have this row completed, you're going to do another row of that forked slip stitch row, and then after that you're going to do your 2 rows of the herringbone half double crochet, chain 1, herringbone half double crochet, and you're going to repeat those 4 rows over and over again until the end of row 72, and then that'll be your back panel completed. Don't fasten off. We're going to then work on our second front panel. So go ahead and work until the end of row 72. So this is what our piece should look like now. Our first front panel should have 29 rows, and then our back panel should have 72 rows. So now you should have ended on row 72, and that should have been a herringbone half double crochet row. For row 73, you're going to also do a herringbone half double crochet row, but you're going to leave the last 38 stitches unworked. Then you're going to chain 39, and you're going to do your row of the forked slip stitches, and then do another row of forked slip stitches, then do 2 rows of your herringbone half double crochet. And you're going to continue that over and over again until the end of row 29, and then that's your second front panel completed, and you're going to fasten off. So here I am at row 73. I've left the last 38 stitches unworked. Now I'm going to chain 39, So once you have your 39 chains, we are going to work into the second chain from the hook, working into those back bumps. So insert your hook into that second chain, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next chain, pull your yarn through, pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops. Insert your hook into that same stitch, pull your yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, pull that top loop through those bottom 2 loops, and you're going to repeat that all the way across. And don't forget, at the end of every forked slip stitch row, you're going to place an extra single crochet into that same stitch that you last worked. So you're going to go ahead and finish off this row, then do another row of your slip stitches, then do 2 rows of your herringbone half double crochet, and you're going to repeat that stitch pattern over and over again until the end of row 29, and then you're going to fasten off, and that's the main body of your cardigan finished. And then next we're going to work on our sleeves. Now for the sleeves, we are going to chain 84. We're going to herringbone half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull your yarn through, pull that top loop through the middle loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then chain 1, skip 1, herringbone half double crochet into the next. And you're going to repeat that all the way across, leaving the last 8 stitches unworked. So I've left the last 8 stitches unworked. So into each of these 8 stitches we are going to place 1 slip stitch. This is going to create the cuff of our sleeve. So go ahead and make 8 slip stitches. For row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. We're going to make 8 slip stitches, working into the back loop only. So here we have our 8 slip stitches done. So into the next stitch we're going to make a herringbone half double crochet, working into the back loop. Then we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, herringbone, half double crochet, working into the back loop only, into the next stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way across until the end of the row. So you're just going to go ahead and repeat the normal stitch pattern, your 2 rows of herringbone, half double crochet, and your 2 rows of the forked slip stitches, and every time you reach the cuff you're going to do your 8 slip stitches, working into the back loop only. So go ahead and work in pattern until the end of row 52. Your 52nd row should end on the forked slip stitches row. Once you have that done, you're just going to fasten off. So once you've got your 52 rows, you are going to fold your sleeve lengthways. Make sure it's the wrong side out. I made a mistake here. Just make sure it's the wrong side out. And then you're going to use a yarn needle and some yarn, and you're going to sew the edges. So now you're going to go back to the body of your cardigan. Make sure the wrong side is facing up. You're going to flip the 2 front panels inwards, and you're going to sew across the shoulders. For the ribbed hemline, you're going to chain 9, then you are going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, and then slip stitch into each chain all the way across. At the end of the row, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to be working into the back loop of every stitch. So into the back loop of every stitch, you are going to make a slip stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way across. Then you're going to repeat this row over and over again until the ribbed hemline is long enough to go around the entire bottom part of the bottom edge of your cardigan. And then you're going to fasten off, and you're just going to sew this ribbed hemline to your cardigan. And then you're going to repeat this entire process for the collar, and until the collar is long enough to go around the entire inner edge of your cardigan, and you're going to sew that in place. And that's your cardigan completed. If you liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Don't forget to check out the free written pattern on my blog, crochetwithcarrie.com. So until next time, take care.